Hello viewers, I trust that your morning is blessed. Welcome to the morning sip with me, Immaculate. So today we're going to be discussing tea. We're going to be looking at some of the questions asked about tea. Now remember, today tea is not only a crop, but a source of livelihood, a tradition, and a pride for millions of Kenyans. Now yesterday we got to look at some of the stories behind tea, where it originated from, you know, and we got to see that it first originated in China. Na tukaangalia tukaona that a man was maji ilikuwa inaboiliwa, alafu the tea just happened to fall into the water, and he noted that the water is changing, na hapo akaamua kuendelea na uchunguzi, and he discovered tea. So welcome to the morning sip. I hope you're gonna journey with me and we're gonna learn more and more about tea, na ili tuweze pia kuchukulia chai na ile weight inafaa kuchukuliwa nayo. So we're gonna go into the first question. You know, there are some questions that are asked by people out here. You know, how was tea invented? Chai iko na miaka mingapi? You know, so we're gonna be diving into that. And the first question is, when was tea invented? So tea was invented in China in the 2737 BC. That is before the coming of Christ. Na iliinventiwa na Mchina ambapo alikuwa anachemshiwa maji, the tea leaf fell inside, and he noted that there's color change, and he decided to go on in the investigation, thus discovering tea. Na alitusaidia sana because wow, he brought in something that helps us. Remember, tea is a necessity in our homes. Like kila mtu akiamka asubuhi lazima ukunywe chai before you start your day, and without that you cannot function. Hiyo nayo hakuna mtu anaweza pinga. So yes, tea was invented in China. The second question that most people ask out here is tea older than coffee? Yeah, tea is older than coffee by far. So I got to look at that, and I discovered that tea was invented 1,000 years before coffee was invented. So that's a lot of years. After chai, it took 1,000 more years for coffee kujulikana. That's why, if you look at, we saw that tea is among the major exports in Kenya. Yeah, and it is also the third export worldwide. Imecategorized as the third export worldwide. So tea was invented 1,000 years before before coffee was discovered. Sorry. We got to another question mostly asked is, which country consumes more tea yearly? You know, ni country gani ina consumingi chai sana kwa mwaka? Now the country that consumes tea mostly is Turkey. It's the largest consumer worldwide. Yearly ina consume 1,300 cups of tea. That's a lot of cups, you know. So the investigation that has been carried out, it shows that Turkey is the largest consumer worldwide with 1,300 cups yearly. You know, consume, that's on average, just, you know, the average, not the exact number. So that shows that Turkey is the largest consumer of tea, and they consume 3 to 5 cups daily. 3 to 5 cups daily. I don't think I consume such. I wake up in the morning, breakfast, Sun, no, I don't take tea at 4, and jioni. I only consume 2 cups of tea. So you see, with them consuming 3 to 5 cups daily, that's a lot. So that's why they lead in the consuming of tea worldwide. And during winter, their cups, they take 10 and more cups, 10 to, 10 and more. So kama hakuna winter, they take 3 to 5 cups. And when winter comes, the increase in number of the cups that they take of tea goes up. So another question mostly asked by Kenyans, by people out there, is what is the most expensive tea in the world? So that's new. Kuna chai expensive. We are used to just this common tea, black tea, whereby tunanunua kuna ya 50, kuna hata ya mbao, 150, 200. There is a tea that is most expensive in the world, and that tea is none other than Dahong Pao. The name says it all. That originated from China. It is from the Wui Mountains in China. Ni rare sana, and it being the most expensive tea, of course, ikiuzwa, it generates a lot of money because inauzwa expensively. Yeah. So China it's not only the one that invented tea, pia wao ndo wako na the most expensive tea. They really have a lot, they really have a lot. So we get to see that China leads in most of the tea things in the world. So modern Dahong Pao, it's made from the cuttings of cultivators of the original bushes, yeah? And also it is grown in the greater Wui region. Now it's much more affordable, but it's still premium if traditionally roasted and processed. So Dahong Pao from Wui Mountains in China. I wonder, I'd like to visit or have an experience of that tea, because I really wonder why is it that it has so much weight? Yeah, it being the most expensive, then lazima kukuwe na a lot of maybe something unique about it. Maybe the way it's processed or something, you never know. So we get to also look at some of the health benefits. Today we're just looking at tea in broad, we're going through everything. Tunaona, I'd like us to look at the comparison. I'd like us to go here back to where we said that coffee ilinventiwa after tea. So coffee was invented, it was discovered in Ethiopia. Remember, tea was invented in China, coffee was invented in Ethiopia. Now, the earliest one it appeared in Yemen, na ilikuwa around the 15th century. You see? So, na tulisema pia, the difference, tea na coffee, I'll stick to saying that tea is better than coffee. Because chai, tuliona that coffee has a lot of, tea is better than coffee. Now we go back to looking at the difference between tea leaves, tea bags, na the plain majani. Majani yenye haijaekwa kwa tea bags na tea bags ni gani better? We touched on that yesterday, but we didn't go deep into that. So we're going to be looking at that. And according to my, my studies, and according to my experience, I'll say that tea leaves, you cannot compare tea leaves na majani yenye unaeka kwa chai inachemka. Why? Because chai yenye inachemka, the majani that you're going to boil, inatoa nutrients, ina give chai taste, but with the tea leaves, you're just dipping, unatoa color na unaondoa. So tea leaves, you cannot compare them with the normal majani that you're boiling because of the quality. Once chai imechemka, inatoa nutrients, na chai yako inakuwa more quality. Another thing I also got to learn is that tea leaves zinatengenezwa from small particles, the remaining particles za hii majani yenye sasa inaekwa ikuje sasa uichemshe, the bare one. So tea leaves need those small particles left from the tea that is being processed. So you get chai yenye unakunywa na tea bags haina, it's of less value compared to this that you're going to be boiling and intaking. So it's just made up, it's from the small particles remaining from the tea that is being processed. I also got to know that once you dip a tea bag once kwa chai hivi, you're not supposed to reuse it again. Did you know that? It's not recommendable that you reuse your tea bags. And most households I've visited, I've seen people, I've seen my friends, wanatumia tea bag mara ya kwanza and then they say no, you know, bado imebaki. Naona mtu ameweka kwa kikombe mahali, you're going to reuse it again. That is not advisable because kama tumeona kama inakolektiwa from the remainings, some particles, yeah, the ones that are being processed now, haina nutrients. Ukiweka tu hivyo mara moja umetumia kila kitu yenye inafaa kukusaidia. So once you dip it again and again, ni kala tu unakunywa. So let's avoid that. Once you use your tea bags, hata kama economy iko juu, just iondoe tu, achana tu nayo, iachilie iende, because there's nothing you're going to be using. And I've done that, especially when I was in school. I did that a lot. But you know, now we do some things because of lack of knowledge. But avoid reusing of tea bags. Once you use it, itupe. And also, let's practice boiling majani. Use the other one. Yeah, it has a lot of work, yes. Lazima uchunge, lazima ungoje iboil. But again, hiyo ndio inakusaidia kwa mwili. It has the nutrients that are supposed to help you. Na unaonanga, once you boil that, haturudiangi. You don't say, no, because I've boiled. Na si eti ukirudisha tena haitatoa majani, haita make the nini ya chai. It will still help you in some way. But we don't take that, keep it aside and say, now this is what I'm going to use nikipika chai jioni. So why, if you're not doing that kwa hii majani yenye umechemsha, why should you do that kwa tea leaves? Kwa tea bags, I mean, I'm sorry. Why should you reuse your tea bags? So avoid that because hautakuwa unajisaidia kwa mwili. And you know, I was having a discussion with my friend. I'm like, kwanza, to me, I see it, naonanga ikiwa unhygienic. Because the moment nimetoa hiyo tea bag, nikiekelea hapo kwa kikombe, to me, naonanga like, inashika germs. So the moment I take it again, hiyo najiathiri, you know? I'm putting my life at risk. And we were just arguing and I'm telling her like, why are you doing all that? So just let it go, we tupe. And she's like, no, anatumia mara 3. Akipika chai asubuhi, anaeka kando. Akipika tena chai jioni, again she removes and puts it aside. Mpaka time anaona, ati hakuna kala. Yeah? So let's avoid that. At least we know that now. Once you reuse your tea bags, there's nothing, hakuna nutrients ziko hapo. Keeping in mind that high process ile yenye strong, ni zile remains. Kama venye unaweza mwaga kitu and then you just unafagia. So hizo particles kidogo tu zimebaki ndio unapata zinachukuliwa, zinatumika kama tea bags. I think the invention of tea bags, tuliona like it was a mistake. You remember we said that tea bags zikiletwa, they were not supposed to be used the way we use them. It was a mistake yenye ilikuja kusaidia. The same way as chai ikikuja kuinventiwa, ni mistake ilifanyika, tea leaf ikaanguka kwa maji. The same way tea bag ilikuwa mistake. Ilikuwa imetengenezwa purposely, you use it, unakata, unamwaga majani kwa maji ama kwa chai yako and then you sieve. But then somebody just happened to take the tea bag and akadip direct kwa maji and they were like, haya, so this can also be used that way. You see, so I think mistakes in this life zinakujanga zinatusaidia kuinvent vitu. So I think we learn from mistakes and mistakes zetu zinatusaidianga. So we are gonna come back with more. Stay tuned, don't touch that dial. I'm your host, Immaculate Mogo.
From learning about value addition, creating partnership, exploring market opportunities to harnessing technology, our experts will guide you through real-life success stories where farmers like you are shifting from producers to agribusiness moguls. Join us every day from 8 to 9 p.m. as we explore the path from farm to business and help you unlock the potential of your farm. The tea business, where your farm transforms into a thriving enterprise.
Welcome back to Chai TV. Now remember, this is where the stories brew as strong as your morning cup. Now from where we left, we were discussing about the differences between tea bags and plain leaves. Okay, so tutaangalia sasa advantages zenye ziko kwa kutumia chai yenye unachemsha than kutumia hii tea bag. Advantage ya kwanza nilikuwa nishasema is that they are more nutritious. Chai yenye unachemsha iko nutritious because unachemsha, kuna vitu zinatoa kama ilikuwa inakusaidia ku reduce nini fat, acne, you know, there are those teas that help you reduce acne. So it helps you health wise. So the moment unatumia hii tea bag, kuna nutrients zingine haziko, because remember tumesema it is just from the small remaining particles za hii chai ingine yenye iko more processed. So people tend to love tea bags because of some various reasons. One of them being is that ni more easier to carry. They are more portable because you see, ziko tu, they are very well packed. You can easily move with them, use them in offices, events, you know, because zimepakiwa vizuri, ni kakitu tu hata unaweza chukua urushe kwa bag and you just walk freely with it. So I think that is why some people, most of us actually, because hata kwa maofisi, kwa event, you go find what is being used is tea bags, because you just take, dip in tea, and then you dispose it, you know. And also it is environmental friendly because venye imepakiwa, you just use it na una dispose tu vizuri pole pole, you know. So that is, I think that is some of the reasons zenye inapendwa sana, but kusema kweli it does help a lot in that. And also tea bag, you know, they are great for busy schedules. Kama uko na schedule busy, utatumia tea bag. Why? Because unachemsha tu maji, unaweka kwa kikombe, you get your tea bag, dip it, take your tea, go to whatever you're going to do, haraka haraka. But you see, with the other plain leaves, you have to wait for them to boil. Unachunga, unaweka kwa kikombe, you sit, you drink. Hiyo masaa yote ungekuwa umetumia tea bag, you see, you could have already finished long time ago na unaenda kwa biashara zako. You see? Another and an advantage of tea, moving now to the plain leaves, yeah? It is that iko na better quality. So iko na better quality because of this. It is made from the whole leaf. Majani chai ikitoka kwa shamba, inapelekwa kwa factory, inaprocessiwa, you know, kama kuna ingredients inaongezwa, inapakiwa vizuri na inapelekwa nje for the distribution na so that we can consume it. So you see, it has a better quality compared welcome back. Sorry for the technical issue that was there. Now we were discussing tea leaves, difference ya tea leaves and the tea bags and the plain leaves, you know. Tumesema that one of the advantage ya kutumia hii plain tea ni eti it has quality. It's the best. It produces the best quality in that iko na nutrients zinakusaidia kwa mwili compared to when you use tea bags. Na tukasema pia tea bags, they are just remains of the processed plain tea. So haina much of the nutrients as compared to the plain tea. We've also said that tea bags, they are easy. Yeah, they are portable. They are easily you are able to handle them easily because hata kwa ofisi you just boil your tea, you boil your water, you put the tea leaves, unakunywa chai yako unaenda. But kama unatumia the plain leaves, you have to boil, you sieve and you intake. That takes a bit of time, you know. We've also said that the tea leaves ziko na flavor compared to the tea bags. When you use plain leaves, kuna two taste unasikianga yenyewe nimekunywa chai, lakini ukicompare when you using tea bags, yes kuna taste but haiwezi comparewa na when you've boiled the leaves. So you get that kidogo iko na more advantage as compared to when unatumia tea bags. Na hii ni kwa sababu that takes us back to where we say that easy tea leaves, tea bags, leaves zake hizo zenye ziko hapo ndani ni zenye tu zimebakia from when the plain leaves were being plain tea was being manufactured. That's less nutrients, taste pia ina reduce because you know there is nothing much hapo, ni kala tu yenye tu nahitaji kudanganya macho yako, you see that unakunywa chai you know. And we have some things that people tend to, you know, think ati chai hii ukitumia majani ni vibaya, you know, ina take time sijui. Oh yes, it does take time, lakini I also don't see sidhani ina taking a lot of time because ukiekelea maji ichemke urushe majani yako ndani, that's high. But anyway, we tend to go for the shortcut always, saving time depending on what you're doing. But remember, it's better when you have the plain tea. Chemsha maji, chemsha chai yako, rusha majani. Just be patient, wait for it to boil. Na utakuwa unajisaidia health wise, you know, na pia taste yake utasikia, you know. Now another advantage of using plain tea, majani yenye unarusha ndo una sieve, ni eti you can control the amount yenye unataka kuweka kwa chai yako. Kama unataka chai yako ionje majani, you know, you just look. It's a matter of looking and acting. So unapima, unaweka kwa chai yako, na kama unataka tena majani yako ikuwe, unajua there are some people who take chai kong, majani ikuwe imeshika kabisa, unaangalia chai, you see it's dark. You can even you can smell it from afar because of the amount of tea leaves wameweka hapo ndani. But for me, I don't like it that way. Natakanga chai yangu, like I said, chai yangu mi hata I just love black tea. Na pia majani isiku imeshika sana because nasikianga ni kama nakunywa dawa, because again when you put a lot of majani kwa chai yako, I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, it's kind of bitter. It has a bitter taste because iko konk. But kuna watu lazima waone chai yao ni dark, lazima wasikie hiyo harufu, wanaisikia ni strong, ndio wajue wanakunywa chai na waamini ya kwamba, you know, their day is gonna go on well. So tea leaves unaweza kupima na unaweza kuamua what amount you want in your tea. But for the tea bags, hata mimi naonanga like when I use tea bags, I do use them. Nikiweka kwanza maji moto, you just dip it and inatoa nini mingi sana because you know quantity yake na maybe the quantity ya maji yenye uko nayo kwa kikombe hazitoshani, you see. And that is why I think people tend to reuse it because wameona hapo imetoa mingi, so imebakisha ingine and you put again and again kwa kikombe ingine na ingine na ingine. So hapo huwezai kupima the amount yenye unataka kwa chai yako because it is packed. You cannot remove it ati upunguze then you dip again, because again ukirarua ni hivyo, mambo imeisha. You're supposed to use it ikiwa sealed. So hapo huwezi pima like useme nataka kaka quantity. Lakini when you're using the plain leaves, you can be able to like unapunguza kiwango ama unaongeza kiwango depending on what you want and how you want your tea taken, you know. So disadvantage cons za tea bags tumesema moja ni eti inachukuliwa from the dust or fannings. Hizo ni the smallest particles za the remaining processing ya tea leaves zingine. And also iko na flat taste. Taste yake huwezi linganisha na taste ya the plain leaves zenye utaboil, ngoje iive, you know, ishike rangi and all that. So and another one, iko na limited flavor. Yeah, iko na limited flavor due to the tight space inside the bag. So flavor yake pia haiwezi kuwa original, you know. Iko na limited flavor, haitatoa yote, na hata ikitoa maybe you can't compare it to the one that you've boiled. You cannot. So keep in mind that it's better. Chukua, just take your time, patience pays. Take your time, boil your tea, enjoy your tea. That way you're ingesting nutrients, you're going to help your body, you know. But again, kama uko kwa maofisi, it's allowed. If you have a busy schedule, just nunua tea bags, use it. But at home, I'd advocate kutumia tu majani, chemsha chai yako. Tuache uvivu. Just take your time, boil, unaweka tu hapo maji, ikichemka unaweka as you doing some other things. But you know, chai pia inatuchanganyanga, unaangalianga hivi kando, ukigeuka tena ndio hii ishapanda inamwagika. And I have this great feeling nikipatana na chai yangu ikipanda, because where are you going? Unaenda wapi? Mtu anasikianga kidogo, you are a winner. Okay, so those are some of the things, some of the advantages and disadvantages of using tea bags na kutumia majani chai. So remember, always try as much as possible. Kama you're able to avoid kutumia tea bags, just avoid that, because there's nothing you're taking. Use majani chai. Chemsha chai yako, enjoy your tea, yeah, and you're gonna go, uta-avoid vitu mingi zenye tuliona, like you know, tunagonjeka siku hizi because of lack of knowledge, yeah, and that is why we are here, to make sure that we enlighten you. Matters tea, yeah, so avoid tea bags, use your chemsha chai, tununue vichungi, tununue sufuria, you know, chai, hiyo chai pia ukichemsha inahitaji sufuria, inahitaji gas, inahitaji kichungi, inahitaji, so tunaona it's a lot na hatutaki kuosha. By the way, I hate washing sufuria ya chai. That is something I hate washing, because it turns in a stick all over, yeah. But again, try as much as possible kuchemsha chai yako, and you'll be good to go. So we're going to be discussing that and more, you know, tutakuwa tunasoma more, having to ask ourselves, what are some of the things that hatujui kuhusu chai? Ni nini yeye unajulizanga sana kuhusu chai and you've not yet gotten the answer? Remember, you can always ask us through our YouTube handles and Facebook. Tuulize, send in your questions and we're going to be looking at them na tutakuwa tunakujibu. As you learn, we also learn, and we'll be, tutakuwa tunasaidiana health wise, you know, na pia tujielimisha hapa na pale. So yes, that was all about tea bags na chai yenye ya kuchemsha, and I believe we've learned a lot. Like I didn't know that chai ya tea bag, the tea bag, ati inatokanga kwa just remains. I didn't know that. I also didn't know ati pia the taste ati haikuangi na hizo nutrients mingi as compared to this. I used to think the same thing that I'm using nikichemsha the tea leaves, the plain tea, is the same thing yenye iko kwa tea bags. That I had no idea of, and I believe also pewe huku unajua all that. You see that we've learned, and you're going to continue looking into tea. Tutakuwa tunaendelea kuangalia more and more about tea. That was a good those are some of the advantages and disadvantages of tea bags. But again, I also think tea bags, when you compare pricing ya tea bags, I used to think tea bags, because of the packaging and everything else, I used to think tea bags zinakuanga so expensive. Not until one day I was like, you know, unajua pia unagopanga kununua kitu, thinking that huwezi fika bei. So I used to think tea bags are very expensive, not until siku nilienda nikaamua kununua. Yeah, and I was like, so hii kitu ni pocket friendly hivi. I used to think, siwezi fika hiyo bei, you know, because I'm used to buying majani, unaenda unapata ni 50, and the portion unaona inakusukuma skuma, and then that is why also unafaa like tutumie hii majani ingine juu nikibuy hiyo portion ya 50 or 100 maybe, I don't know, 50 or 100, it takes me kama miezi kama 3. Juu ya venye napima cha majani yangu, I've said that mimi sipendi chai kong. So it takes me 3 to 4 months before nifikiria tena kununua majani. Naenda kama miezi 4, hata na saa wingi. Nikienda tu nijaze my tea leaf can and I'll just forget about it, yeah. But with the tea bags, inatumika haraka because you see, if I use from today, kama tuseme for example, tuseme there are 20 pieces. Nikitumia kutoka leo, it will only take 20 days. Iishe. Again tena nirudi kwa duka, ninunue tena ingine, nitumie tena 20 days, then again iishe. Wewe mwenye unafanya hivyo na mimi mwenye niko na majani yangu yenye nimenunua ya 50 or 100 bob, I don't know, according to where you live. Mimi nitakuwa bado na majani yangu kwa nyumba, naeka tu kidogo na mwaga. Wewe unashinda umeenda kununua, but hey, we live according to our means, but remember, it's not helping you that much. It's okay, it's helping you in time, to save time. Inakusaidia pia na usafi, you know, it's easily disposable. Inakusaidia tu na those few things, but hii chai ingine inakupea nutrients, you know, unaget kukunywa chai iko na taste, you know. So those are some of the things that we were looking at today. Now remember, tea tumesema it is among the major exports in our country, you know. It is among the major exports in our countries and a source of pride, source of income to very, very many people out here. Chai mko mashinani, it is something that is inatukuzwa. But again, I feel like we are not yet handling tea design inafaa. We should handle tea with the weight it deserves, because for the longest, like mimi nimegrow here place kuna chai, and you just, first of all, the beauty of tea. Unaendanga tu unasimama and you just look at the lands, green, you know, it is so pretty, and it requires a lot of labor, yes, but again, inatuletea income. It's a source of employment for millions and millions of Kenyans. There are people who survive by that, plucking tea, you know, and it is good. Mimi naonanga inakuaga poa sana, and that is why most watu kwanza wengi sana, according to the investigation I've done, nikiangalia uko home kwenye nimetoka, majority watu wengi sana wanakuaga wametoka mbali. They come to work kwa majani tea plantations, because chai ukichuna unalipwa jioni. You don't have to wait ati wiki ishe, ati mwezi ishe so that you can get your salary. No, chai ukichuna asubuhi, jioni you have your cash. You know, you have your cash, unajipanga. So there are people who survive by that. Shule zinalipwa na hiyo majani chai. Watoto wanavaa, watu wanakula, yeah? And we are not yet taking that na weight yenye na deserve. But I feel like ni juu tumeizoea sana. You see, tumesema chai ili discovery wa kitambo sana. So tumeizoea sana because nimepata chai, my parents walipata chai, wazazi wao walipata chai, you see. So imezoewa sana. Now we see it as kitu ya kawaida, but it's not. People survive on that. Mtu anaenda anachuna, anapata 400 yake, that is, hiyo ni sapa yake, shopping yake kidogo, you know, and depending on the time yenye tuko, job unaenda unalipwa daily. I think watu wanaonanga that's better, because at least unajua, you're sure, it's something you're sure that leo nikienda home naenda na pesa, sikopi. Hata nikikopa jana kama nilikuwa nimekopa, today I'll have money to just, you know, give back to whoever lended me. It's high time we take tea, we carry tea with the weight it deserves, because it is a pride. And I am proud to have come from an area kwenye chai ina grow, hata kama sijui kuchuna. But at least I know that you're supposed to pluck 2 leaves and a bud, right? Yes, I think you're supposed to pluck 2 leaves and a bud, you know. Na naonanga like when they go to the kwenye wanaendanga kuuza hiyo chai, tunazitanga banda for the Kikuyus. Wakiangaliliwa you get, kama una chai yako si 2 leaves and a bud, chai yako yote inatupwa. Yeah, it's so sad. Mtu aende kwa shamba ashinde amechuna majani and then akienda kuuza unaambiwa your tea cannot be. Hii nayo tumekataa. You know, because uko watu wana milima na mabonde. So you can imagine the whole day umeamka asubuhi ukaambia Mungu, thank you for the day. Nisaidie as I go to my daily work, and then in the evening pesa zenye ulikuwa unatarajia that you're going to be paid, you're going to go do some shopping, maybe pay something, and then unaenda unaambiwa no. But again tulisema kuna kuaga na brokers. Yeah, there's a time brokers walikuwa wamekuwa wengi sana, and they really used to help, because once umeenda umeambiwa chai yako haitabebwa na gari ya factory, the broker comes in, amekusaidia na kuenda kubeba chai yako. You will not have to go and look for where you're going to throw away your tea. Yeah, I don't know if bado the rate at which brokers walikuwa ilipungua. I think that was back in 2020 something. Yeah, so the rate was very high na walikuwa wanasaidia sana, but now imepungua. I believe imepungua, yeah. But they really helped. But again, I say, let us carry tea with the weight it deserves. Let us embrace our crop. This is our pride as Kenyans. It is among the major exports kwa country yetu. So I don't know. Na unajua pia inakuanga na, what do you call this? Pesa zinatokanga, is it annually? Yeah, bonus ya chai inatokanga, I think every year, if I'm not wrong, every year. And you see this inasaidianga sana, because now the owner of the farm at least anakuaga akijua hii mwaka kuna kitu nangoja. So I don't know, hii mwaka itakuwa juu ama itakuwa chini. I get to hear that sometimes ina elevate kidogo. Hii mwaka unasikia wanasema hiyo bonus tumefinywa. Yeah, but I appreciate the fact that serikali pia inajaribu sana kuangalia hiyo sekta ya majani, ina improve at least on the prices. Yeah, juu Kenyans wengi sana wanadependia hiyo majani. Yeah, it's a source of livelihood, a source of pride, venye tumesema tunajivunia sana, because most places ziko na majani, Kiambu, Murang'a, Meru, kuna chai is everywhere, yeah. And also tukasema it's a tradition, ni kitu imekuwa hapo from long ago, inaachiwa watu, anaachiwa huyu, inainheritiwa, yeah. So farming tea is a good deal. It's a good deal from what I have witnessed from home, from listening to tea farmers. It's something that has really helped them. Inasaidia at least wakishapata bonus, anajua watoto wamesoma. Kishapata bonus, hiyo majani anajua ataweza kuilimia, aipalilie. Remember we said that there's a season that comes na chai inakatwa. Yeah, inasaidia, it gives it time and space for it to grow again, ikiwa sasa stronger, yeah, and with more nutrients, because tulisema chai kichunwa sana, hata wewe ukitumia kitu kama venye, for example, venye tu tumesema kama ukitumia tea bag sana, unapata that inaisha ladha, inaisha nguvu. So the same case to tea. Kama venye pia wewe, another good example, ukifanya kazi sana lazima uoge. So the same thing to tea. Ikichunwa sana lazima ikatwe to allow for new growth, coming with more nutrients, coming ikiwa strong na ikiwa better and pleasing to the eye. Ndio hata ikipelekwa pale kwa factory haitakataliwa. And so we're going to also be looking more into processing ya chai. Tuangalie ikitolewa pale kwa shamba, ikienda pale ikichaguliwa, ikinunuliwa, ikipelekwa kwa factory, ni nini inafanyangwa, what are the processes, some of the processes zenye inafanyangwa, ndio hii inaseparatiwa inakuwa ni chai yenye inaekwa ni plain tea, na hii ingine inaseparatiwa inakuwa ni hii yenye inaekwa kwa tea bags. We're going to be looking at that and much more Remember, Chai TV is where the stories brew as strong as your morning cup, and we're only looking at matters tea. Matters tea because tumesema hatuangalii chai na the weight that it deserves. So we're gonna be looking at that. Na hiyo itakuwa tu hapa kwa morning sip each and every Friday. Na hakuna mwingine atakuwa na host. It's me, Immaculate Mugo. So yes, and some of the things that I love about chai ni the fact that kwanza I love, kama kuna chai napenda kukunywa ni chai ya kwetu, from where I come from, I think it's because nilikuwa nimezoea the taste. You know, chai zote, I got to see that chai zote, so far nimekunywa chai kadhaa from different factories. That is, every factory I believe has its own unique way ya kuprocess chai yao, because unakunywanga hii chai unasikia haya hii iko na different taste, ukikunywa hii ingine unasikia ile yenye nilikuwa nimekunywa has a different taste, hii ingine pia ukikunywa you're like haya also this has a different taste. So every company, every factory, I believe processes chai yao na different style. Of course, we can't all be the same. Hata humans, we are not the same. Kuna mimi, kuna huyo mwingine, kuna wewe, we don't look the same. So pia chai inakuwaga na different tastes. Yes, it is from the same plant, but it has different tastes. And also remember, inaekangwa in vitu kama ginger, you know, zinatusaidia kwa gut. So unapata ukienda hata kununua chai ya tea bags, kuna tea bag ya ginger, kuna tea bag ya lemon, you know, and that tea is so sweet actually. So I think pia ukicompare hapo, when you compare hii chai ya tea bag, the tea bag na the plain tea, that there's an advantage ya kuwa hii inaekwa lemon tea, because I've not come across, or maybe ni mimi sijatumia chai tea leaves, tea, plain tea, different, but I'll check into that. But for the tea bags, I can testify that inakuwaga na different flavors. Kuna ginger, kuna lemon, and I go with ginger any day, anytime. It has this soothing feeling once you just take it, unasikia. Yeah, and for the lemon, I prefer it when someone iko na homa, so you take in. Nakumbuka yesterday we said that people have different and weird ways in which they take their tea or whatever they put in their tea. And nikasema that there's this time nilikuwa naona, actually I was in primary, and my English teacher alikuwa naweka that medicine. Ilikuwa nikaa rob kama kaluma. You know, when you're having a sore throat, ama when umefungana mapua, you apply, right? So hiyo ilikuwa in liquid form. But now again, the teacher now used to like, hata tukigonjeka, because we're in boarding school, unagonjeka unaenda unamwambia niko na flu, nimefungana kifua. Anakuambia, you know what, go to the kitchen, get water, kuja hapa. I can't remember the name quite well. Na ako kadawa I think pia ilivanish. Yeah? So he used to just, it had like a small lid, anaeka just that lid, small portion, because the lid was not that big, and then anaweka kwa maji. Na anakuambia ukunywe haraka because again remember, maji ni moto, na ukiweka hiyo rob it easily evaporates, you know, because of the temperatures ziko hapo, ziko na high temperatures juu maji ni moto. Na ukikunywa tu hivyo, at first I used to wonder, like unawezaje niwekea rob kwa chai, kwa maji nikunywe? How can you do that? Because I think generally it was supposed to be like you sniff it. It was supposed to be sniffed, but also they came with a better option of kufanya mambo haraka. You know, tulisema we as Kenyans tunakuwaga inventors. I'm proud to be Kenyan. So they invented that and they were like, you know, let us be, unaweka tu chai tukikunywa jioni unaona anakuwekea na ulikuwa unapona with immediate effect. Ilikuwa inafanya kazi with immediate effect, like you're sipping it and you're just feeling it, inaenda tu inakufungua and everything is clear, you know. You don't have to kukaa hapo for long. Ukikunywa tu hivi kila kitu inakuwa clear. Yeah, so tukasema pia kuna watu pia wanaekanga butter kwa chai. Something I said I'll try because I mean I'd like to feel the taste of it. Maybe I think smell utasikia, because once it boils, unajua Blue Band has its smell. So I'd love to try that, and once I try, nitakuja tu hapa and I'll give you my experience. I'll tell you how I felt about it. But again, inakaa kuwa tamu na bado inakaa kama itafanya mtu asikie ish. Because remember, kama nimepika na chai, na maziwa maziwa iko na mafuta yake. And then again I put butter. Kidogo hapo inaonekana kama kuna venye itakuwa na kizungumkuti kidogo tu, kutakuwa na hitilafu kidogo. I think I cannot take it in large amounts, maybe just a small portion ya kuonja. I cannot also risk kuweka mingi nisimwage chai yangu. Tukasema also people kuna wenye wanaekanga ginger. I didn't know that, but I think hiyo ni mtu tu kama venye tumesema that tulikuwa tunaekewa the dawa. I think pia hiyo mtu anaekanga time akona homa or something, because I know you unafaa kuchemsha na maji. And now maybe when I'm making black tea, yeah, for black tea, yeah, you can put the ginger na ukunywe. By the way, it has no difference na ukiwa umenunua tea bag yenye iko na ginger. Yeah, that's true. It has no difference. Just that imegrindiwa na ikamixiwa na majani, but hii ingine yako unaiweka na unajitengenezea unaeka. So we got to look at that, na tukaona kila mtu ako na style yake. We have different ways we do things. We have different ways, we look for flavor just to spice up life. Yeah, and remember, you can always give us new ways. Ndio pia sisi hapa we go and try. You can always send in, how do you make your tea? How do you like it? Do you do it with ginger? Do you like using tea bags? Do you prefer boiling the tea leaves? Yeah, how do you like it? And what makes you what makes you want it that way? Because there must be something, because mimi nakuanga nimeamini when I'm taking something ginger, niko na homa, I'm not okay. What about you? Why do you like using hizo tea bags and ziko na ginger? Why do you prefer kuchemsha chai yako kama vile mimi nimesema? Mimi I go for kuchemsha majani yangu. Why do you prefer that? Mimi nimesema one, because iko na nutrients. Second, ile taste yenye nataka nitaisikia tu hiyo chai yangu ikichemka. But again, kuna time napikanga chai yangu, and because of laziness, because that is the only way I can put it, because of laziness, napata nachukua kichungi naeka kwa, let's say, jug, naeka majani hapo. There's even a day I was like, now what am I doing? See, let me just go buy tea bags, because sasa kama sichemshi majani yangu, just because I don't want kurusha hapo, sijui nioshe, sijui nini. That is just laziness. That times I just do that. Naeka majani yangu, and then I pour hot water on top. Hiyo nakuaga tu nikifanya kama mtu mwenye ametumia tea bag. But again, hatuwezi kuwa tunafanana, because tumesema tea bags hazina nutrients yenye hii majani plain tea iko nayo. So me believe I'm still ingesting more nutrients compared to mwenye atatumia tea bags, yeah? So pia tukasema, let's avoid the lazy part of it all. Let's avoid it. Although nowadays we prefer doing this the easier way, but let's avoid it. Chemsha chai yako na utapata nutrients. Yeah, take your time, just kunywa kitu inakufaidisha. Na tukumbuke rate ya siku hizi watu wanakufa haraka sana. Juu health wise tuko chini. Tunaenda tukipunguzanga how people back then used to do things, especially preparation of their foods is far different na venye sisi tunafanya. Sasa kuna mashini mingi sana, kuna mashini hata za kutengeneza chai. Sasa hata tena watu sasa siku hizi they are moving away from this boiling maji. Ushinde hapo ukiwasha gas, ushinde hapo umeangalia, you cannot even move an inch, because once you move away from that, chai yako ndio hiyo inajua it's time, inapanda kama kitu kingine. People are moving away from that, by the way. We are moving away from that. And kuna machines za kutengeneza chai. Unaenda tu naeka maji, naeka majani, inakutengenezea. Kazi tu ni kuweka kikombe and you just take your tea ready. Yeah? So watu pia wanaondoka. I think I need to get that, because I'm getting lazier. day by day. Kama nitachukua majani niweke kwa kichungi, si heri tu nini. So as I was saying, people from long ago used to really take care of themselves. Matters preparation of food, walikuwa wana do things the right way. Lakini sisi, the more we grow, the more we develop technologically, and we tend to like move away from doing these things the hard way, na tunaenda kwa doing things the easier way, which is good, si vibaya. I mean, it's good to, you know, to learn things, to develop new things, but once in a while, try doing things the right way. Try eating healthy, you know. Try just looking out for yourself, because if you don't look out for yourself, then no one else will. And at the end of the day, ukigonjeka, ni wewe tu, you're going to suffer. But tukasema pia, we suffer because we lack knowledge. You see, we lack knowledge. And kidogo jana we also looked at how people, you know, back then, watu walikuwa nakula vitu kama chai na nduma asubuhi, chai na mihogo, chai na ugali yenye ililala jana. But saa hii, most households, we're doing tea bread, you know, tea sausages. And some are also not even taking tea. Milk sausage, milk bread, milk, you know, they have all these milk burgers. Mtu anaamka asubuhi, mwingine anaamua leo sikunywi chai, nakunywa kale kakweta nilikuwa nimebakisha jana. So we also looked at some of the ways zenye mtu anapenda kutake your tea. Like I prefer mine with bread. Yeah, naamini nikiamka asubuhi, chai na mkate. Kuna wenye wanakunywanga chai na ka biscuit. You know, there are people who don't like kukula kitu heavy sana. And also there are some who believe that asubuhi akiamka ni chai na chakula, so that siku yake ikuwe poa. So how do you like to take your tea? What do you like? Unapenda kuescort chai yako na nini? And I remember in school, we used to complain a lot. Because how do you give me the scone? Is it inaitwa scones, yeah? Na hiyo ako ka scone, it was so thin. Back in primary school, that is. High school, we used to be given bread, which was not all, it was never enough. Because watu wakiwa shule wanakuanga na njaa 24/7. It was never enough. So how do you give me ka scone kanatoshana hivi? Na ile siku ametupea mkate, they used to give us, was it 2 slices ama 3 slices? I think 3. Wakienda sana au kuifikisha 4. Kitu ulikuwa unaamka unafinya tu hivi, and you just put it yote kwa mdomo, and we are supposed to function mpaka break time, tungoje tena chai nyingine. Na pia tukakumbuka tukasema pia kuna hii chai ya nini ya what is it called, inaitwa nini, chai ya powder, maziwa ya powder. That is what we used to take back in high school. At first, it has this taste that is not so pleasing. It's not pleasant. But when you get used to it, unaendanga tu, unaipenda tu. You know, when you're used to something, you just accept, because one, there's no other option. Hakuna ngombe za kukamua. In our school, we didn't have cows. I don't know if now they have. 2, I think it saves a lot, because kama ni maziwa, the amount ya maziwa ingekuwa inahitajika kupikia the whole high school ingekuwa mingi sana. But I think with the powder, unauma tu 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 hivyo, na maji na chai yako inakuwa ready, and we just, na watu walikuwa wanachomana very bad. It was an awful experience back then. But without that, hatunge survive. Without that, we used to long for when tea break inafika. Hata kama tutachomana, lazima usurvive na hiyo, na ile mkate yenye utajinunulia kama venye tumesema. And I think that is why mpaka till date I love bread so much, and I believe chai yangu lazima iakampaniwe na mkate. Yeah, you got to look at that. And you know, taking back, if you come to think of it, sasa kama mwenye alifikiria ati unaweza tengeneza hiyo maziwa ya powder, you know, inventions are all over, and they really help. They help a lot. Yeah, to, you know, some benefits, kuna benefits mingi sana. but again hiyo chai yetu pia ulikuwa unapata kuna venye kama jani kako niko mbali until now uende home. That's when, or maybe if you have, I used to see people wanaongeza chocolate kama mtu amebeba anaongeza, kama mtu akona tea bags, because we used to carry tea bags also in school, anaongeza, and life was good. So tea bags really do help, they save a lot, zinasaidia sana, yeah. But remember, tea bags hazina impact kubwa sana kwa life, so you can, ukiweza kuiondokea, just do it. But again, kama uko kwa maofisi, if you're busy, you can, kama utaweza kuiondokea, you can just continue using the tea bags, keeping in mind haujisaidi sana, yeah. So I believe we've learned a lot. Tumejikumbusha mengi, whatever we've been discussing through the whole week, we've got to kuguzililia na maybe kuongeza on that a little bit, and we're going to be ending our show. Thank you for joining us. Remember to send in your questions, your suggestions, what you'd like us to discuss next time we come to our morning sip. And thank you for watching. I was your host, Immaculate Moga. Stay tuned on Chai TV, where our stories brew as strong as your morning cup.